Hello, I'm Justin Hill, prize-winning author and creative wars of words. And I had a question yesterday from Patrick. And Patrick asks about getting better at conveying facial expressions in writing. And I spoke yesterday about Chinese pictures where actually you want to leave stuff for the imagination. You want to leave stuff for the reader because the reader writes more than half the story themselves of their own imagination. And I talked about Chinese pictures, and there's a Chinese picture where the artist is only sketching in kind of important details or enough details to prompt your imagination, and they're just leaving the rest of the page blank. And I think that is a great, that's also very similar to writing. In many ways, it's basically a blank page with a few lines of details. So then the question arises, how do you express facial expressions? And this is a fashion thing, really, and it's changed hugely. So if you read Dickens, I have a book of Dickens's characters somewhere, and Dickens will spend a page and a half, maybe 2 pages, sometimes more, describing the character, their clothes, their expression, the way they walk, and that worked at that time. It's not the fashion now. It's not wrong. There's no rules in writing. You can break every rule there is. So what I would do, I think if you're worrying about facial expressions, you're getting character wrong. Because character is not so much about expressions as what characters do. Like we learn about characters from their actions. So something Dickens does, which you can take, is he often gives a character a very distinctive feature, a hat, or a stomach, or a way of walking. And you can take that, and every time the character appears, you can kind of drop that in, and that helps remind the reader who the character is. I'm going to have to go into 2 videos here, so I'm going to pause this one and pick it up here. You can do it that way, or you can, again, I think actions are very powerful, and to leave stuff unsaid. When I was first learning to write, I would kind of write 3 sentences describing a scene, and then take maybe 1 or 2 of them out. I still do that. I still pare back. It's what I like to do with my writing. It's not necessarily right. And also kind of non-reaction is good. If you are a fan at all of the Jack Reacher novels, Jack Reacher's, he's a big ex-military guy, and he's liable to punch you if you get in his way. And those are kind of basic tenets of his character. But also he doesn't speak much. His kind of most common refrain is, Reacher said nothing. And that silence, that not saying something, is very powerful in a story. I think also you want to hint at complexity. Humans are very complex creatures. We don't understand ourselves or each other. And life and the world is full of, misunderstandings. So you want to bring that complexity to your characters as well. So often you can put an action with a line of speech where the 2 of them are actually sort of saying slightly different things, because we're complex and we often are thinking 2 things at the same time, at least 2 things at the same time, as well as having an emotional reaction as well. So all these things you can use to try and bring your characters to life. And what you're doing is not trying to literally bring them to life. You're trying to give the reader enough information for their imagination to spark and explode. And the stuff the story, the description in the reader's own head will be so much more powerful than anything you can put on the page. So, Patrick, I hope that helps you. And I hope that you can take the burden of facial expressions off what you're trying to do with your writing.